Hello and welcome to week one, HSN 310 Scholarly Writing for Healthcare Professions. We're so glad you're here, and I think that you'll find the next 8 weeks to go very quickly, but that they will provide some wonderful skills for you as you continue on in your programs. We do know that a BS in any degree, a bachelor's level degree, requires and expects a level of writing that is academic or scholarly piece of writing. And since we don't use that on a daily basis, it's important to learn how to do it. It's not hard, it just is different. And I think that some of you probably I could hear saying right now, if you're thinking out loud, well, I don't like writing. I don't know what to write. Writing frightens me. I'm anxious about that. I don't really even want to be in this course. And I understand it because there's generally a little bucket of negativity that most students drag along behind them when they come to a baccalaureate program that is kind of just writing isn't comfortable. But as you learn more about it, I think you'll find that it becomes much easier. For example, I don't know how to play chess. The only times I've ever tried it, I've failed miserably, and therefore I don't like it because I don't know how to do it. And I think that writing is that way for a lot of students. But if I were to take a course in chess and begin to learn some of the basic moves and perhaps even win a game against another beginner player, I would have a surge of confidence and oh, this is kind of interesting feeling. And perhaps I would do much better. So this is what we're going to do for you to help you gain the skills that you need to enjoy academic writing and to get good at it. We're providing weekly video sessions to assist you to be successful by demonstrating and clarifying assignments. And we know that students who view this material have historically done better than those who don't. So I would encourage you, watch these weekly videos where we demonstrate things and show you how to do what you need to do prior to trying. A few tips for you. The text is really a manual and it does not require a lot of reading. It is more of a review to know where to find the information so that when you are, for instance, trying to create a reference example, you'll know where to go and where to look and find the answer that you need. And so since the reading assignments are very short, it is essential to thoroughly review all the lectures and the other required reading prior to attempting any of these assignments, because trying to do them without being prepared is not going to end in success. Please read all the announcements. They are going to be there weekly for you, and they're designed to provide up-to-date information that you need to succeed. Your instructors use Gmail on a regular basis, and this is something that you need to check almost daily, but especially around the times of grading, because if there's a problem that could have been corrected, but you don't check the account, you could miss an opportunity to fix it. Communicating with faculty is vital. Please let them know when you have an issue because they can help. If you're sitting there wondering or struggling or confused or just not knowing what to do and they don't know that, it's really hard for them to help. But if you'll just either email them, give them a call, or contact them in the way that they have placed in the announcements for you, they'll be so glad to help you. We are not bothered by students who contact us with questions. In fact, it's rather a pleasure to find students who want to do well and need a little help. We're very glad to do that. So please consider that communicating with your faculty is one of the things that can help make you successful. And then please keep a simple feedback notebook dedicated just to the comments that your instructor gives you about your writing. When you're provided with information that needs to be corrected, write it down in the notebook. Prior to any submission, following that, just double check your feedback notebook to be sure that you've applied the information. because it's really unfortunate to repeatedly lose points for the same issues over and over again. And applying feedback really is the expectation. When your faculty takes time to give it to you, please just do it. This works for any class, not just for this class. And having everything in one spot in a little simple notebook will help you always know where to go and where to find that. So again, always ask questions when you're unsure of something. It is what we're here for, and we're glad to help. All right, let's take a look at the first of our 2 discussion questions for this week. There are 2 discussion questions and 2 assignments. The first discussion question is talking about the formality or informality of writing in a scholarly manner. And so the first thing you need to do is to review the discussion question narrative itself. There's a lot of information in this first one. Read through there. It's very simple concepts to grasp. Read any lectures, any videos that are there also for you to understand. Make sure everything is read before you attempt this. And then I think you'll find it pretty simple to do. So, for instance, there are a number of characteristics that are listed that would make a paper informal or formal. So all you need to do really is avoid certain characteristics that make it informal, such as contractions. Contractions are squishing 2 words together with an apostrophe, such as aren't, isn't, won't, can't, and those should never be used. You should write those out as are not, is not, will not, cannot. Another thing to avoid is the use of personal pronouns such as I, you, and us. Please find a new way to rewrite that statement to eliminate those pronouns. Certainly slang, text language, overstatements, all of those detract from good academic writing. So if there's a million ways to do something, is it really a million? Or could it be something less? Have I overstated that? Probably so. So again, you would need to find a new way to say that. Please do not use quotes in this class. They are not accepted. And the reason for that is as you quote other authors, and they may be excellent quotes, and they may be cited perfectly, but you're allowing someone else to write your paper for you. So in this basic class, we're going to say no quotes. And in fact, in your programs, quotes are to be chosen extremely carefully. Quotes are not wrong, but they have to be handled well. And few quotes, the fewer quotes you have, the more effective they really are. But in this course, no quotes at all, please. So when you see the home page or the discussion page for discussion question number 1, it will tell you to go to this site. Click on the website and you'll see exactly what you see here. You'll have a paragraph and you will have to make the decision based on what you just learned and all that narrative and the reading you've done. Is this paragraph formal or informal? After you've read it, you're going to click on whether you think it's formal or informal. And you'll immediately get feedback that will tell you if you are correct or not. And then go to the next paragraph that you see that little blue button there. If it's formal, you don't have to do anything. If the paragraph is informal, just rewrite the paragraph on a Word document. And actually, it's the best idea to do it on a Word document because Word will help show you any mistakes that you might have made. It'll show misspellings, some grammar. So it's always beneficial to start your discussion question entries there. It doesn't matter what discussion you're doing. Put your response on a discussion question, look it over, check it out for mistakes that Word document will give you, and then you can lift it and place it into the discussion post itself. It's always beneficial to start your discussion entries on a Word document first. Then click next, repeat for the second paragraph, and you're either going to have one or two informal paragraphs. Write either or both of those, however it turns out. Rewrite them on the Word doc and then place them into the discussion post from that Word document. Make sure that you're speaking to all the bullets. Make sure that the bulleted section underneath, which says please include the following, is actually in the discussion post. That's very important because students often lose points unnecessarily because they didn't take a look to see what it was they needed to do. Let me just bring up this discussion for you. See if I can get it over here where you can see it. So starting up here, with discussion question 1, you're going to take a look down through here and you're going to see a number of characteristics. There's a little bit of talking going on, and then you'll see this, is this an informal or formal characteristic? So read down through there, make sure that you have figured out what you should not include or what you should include, whichever way. Then post your one or two in paragraphs that have been rewritten, whichever you find. There's a little site where you're going to click on, and you're going to discuss a couple of things. You're going to, for yourself, convey how formal writing benefits your profession. What is it about formal writing that's important? In your initial post, along with your 2 paragraphs, you're going to discuss this. And then look around at the paragraphs of your peers and share some suggestions to improve the formality of their paragraphs. And I will say that this is such a vital way to learn when you take the opportunity to share with your peers, your colleagues, in a professional manner, some things that you've seen in their work that would help them improve. Don't look at this as a negative way of just making you look bad. They're not trying to make you look bad. They're trying to help you. And so when you receive a suggestion or a correction from an instructor or from a peer, that's like a gift that you can have that will actually just allow you to do better. So help each other out. You're all in this together. You all want to get better. And so work with each other to help somebody else. And I think that you'll find it actually very helpful. Peer learning is one of the best ways to learn, because a lot of times I've had a peer tell me something like, I think you could do better here, and here's what I think you could do. And for some reason, I remember that more than a lot of other means of learning. So take advantage of it. And right down here at the bottom, you'll see, let me push it up just a little bit so you can see that. View your discussion rubric. So always click on that and read, what does it take to get an exemplary grade? Either a 4 or 5 points in this section, 8 to 10 here, and so forth. Take a look and see what it is that the instructors are looking for, because they're going to use this to score your work. If they're going to use this, then you should look at it first, and it will be a help to you. All right, so that's our first discussion question for this week. The second discussion question is to take a look at what APA really is. APA, and especially APA 7, now that that has just changed, as you may be aware that it just changed recently. So we're kind of in a new era here of learning what APA 7 is, and we're all working together to learn that. And in this course, we are going to teach APA 7. It's not actually difficult. In fact, in most ways, it's simpler. So I think that you'll find it easier than what you have possibly done in the past if you've worked with APA. But there are some sources to look at, some hyperlinked areas that you can go to and take a look at some of the resources that are out there for you. Discuss then which resources might be helpful. Which ones do you think would be good? And then share any previous experience with us that would tell us a little bit, well, how much do you know about APA? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think it's hard? Do you think it is easy? How do you see APA? And what aspects are the most challenging for you? let me show you again. Let's go to the second discussion question, which is going to look like this. And these are the resources. Click on each one of these, take a look, evaluate what you think. You're going to find this one as critical to your assignment number 1. So definitely you need to take a look at that and come back to it then when you're ready to do your assignment number 1. But these are all different things that will be helpful. And so you are to investigate the potential of these resources. And then here's where you look, include the following, these 2 bullet points, discuss which resources might be helpful and why, share any experience with APA and what is most challenging to you. All right, so that's really kind of a simple one. Be sure though that your initial post does conform to the information. Let's go back and look at that just a minute, because I think this is important. Right here, the rules of discussion. This shows up in the first few, and these rules of discussion, if you take a look at them, this just gives you an idea of how to get the task done and by when. If you have a different plan, that's fine, but general tips, managing your discussions, and some examples of a good post, a not so good post. But it needs to be substantive. If you can follow my cursor right up here, you'll see that an initial post needs to be between 75 and 150 words. That certainly isn't capping you off at that. They could go longer, but it contributes in a meaningful way. And if you're going to respond to a peer, they also need to contribute in a meaningful way. Generally, it's typically about half the length of an initial post, but I would say it's very hard to be substantive and under about 50 or 75 words, actually. Make comments, keep the topic on topic. Your responses should be talking about the work at hand, the skills we're talking about. I know that in the beginning, as you guys get to know each other a little bit, and you make very helpful and friendly comments to each other that have nothing to do with the topic, and some of that is okay. Once you have provided a substantive response, if you've provided that, then feel free to just chat a little bit with your peers. I think that's a good thing too. Here are some other ideas about how to do that. So that's an important piece to look at to make sure that you're actually doing it. All right, so that's the first 2 discussion questions, nothing hard there. Now our first assignment is going to take the basic APA parts of formatting and for setting up a template for your paper. In other words, how do I set up a paper? How do I prepare my paper to write? And this is one thing that I think scares a lot of students, because they look at a blank piece of paper and it just frightens them. I don't know what to do. I have this big white piece of paper and I don't know how to start. Well, this is going to help you learn exactly how to start. And as we progress a little bit in our paper setup, you're going to see how easy it's actually going to become. But for this first week, we're going to do just the very, very basics. And so this will be something that will help you to get started. Of course, APA 7 has changed. And so you're going to have to keep a careful look at your textbook and the information that we have given you. And this is a skill that actually is going to be repeated over and over. So we want to get this down. We want to be able to do this skill and be successful in it this week. Now, the text chapters are here. There's also a website that I will take you to momentarily, and you can see that the APA website is also very, very helpful. But we need you to make sure that you're successful. If you're not, then there is a way that we can help you with that, and that is by placing what we call a temporary 2. And so that means if you've done an assignment and your faculty looks at that assignment and says, no, they just don't have it yet. There's just some critical pieces they don't understand. Then a 2 will be placed as you're in your grade book. And instead of panicking and having a collapsing moment over the fact that you got a 2, Be thankful, because this too will allow you to repeat the assignment with the instructor's help and guidance, and it will be penalty free. It's not going to be considered late. You're going to be able to do this assignment essentially as a free redo, so that we know that you have actually gotten that skill down. Once you can set up this paper template and you've done it correctly, then from that point forward, you are expected to do it. But to help you get there, we're going to give you the option of a temporary 2 should you need it. And then when you come back and you make those nice changes, then we'll change it to the actual grade that you have earned. So don't be concerned about that, because you're going to be given the opportunity to redo it. And that's a wonderful thing. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate now for you assignment number 1. And so let's take a look at assignment number 1. And I'm going to, let's just make sure that you also understand how to get where you're going. So you're going to go to weekly content and, oops, assignment number 1, or I'm sorry, week number 1. And if you scroll down, you'll see a few lectures you need to take a look at, but we come down here to assignment number 1, which is to create an APA essay template. Just the basic format. Now notice right here that the review sections right here must be taken a look at. Review this chapter in these sections, review the APA website, take a look at it, and let's just go there. And I've also already given you the exact place to go. So paper formatting, if you take a look at everything here, title page, setup, the types of fonts you can use, you do have a choice now. You're not stuck with Times New Roman 12, but there are some others that are accepted. Don't just choose anything like Comic Sans, that won't work, but it will give you a choice of, I can't remember if it's 6 or 8 of them that you can use. And so click through here. Headings, not so much. We'll get into headings later, but line spacing, all of these things. There's a sample paper there if you want to see that. And so this is a very helpful place to go. So make sure you've looked through this and read your assignment and the textbook where you need to. And then notice that this is called an action verb. An action verb tells you what to do. And in this case, you're going to produce, what are you going to produce? An essay template with correct APA specs. Now, the important thing down here is what to include. This is what you're supposed to do. This is what you're supposed to include. Faculty is going to look at that. And if one of these is not included, then you will lose points. So why lose points? Just take a look at this and make sure that you've included each of these sections. Please note that this is a do not do something, and that's include an abstract. Abstracts are fine, but the College of Nursing and Health Professions doesn't use them. So they're not required, and so that's a good thing. And so you're to submit 3 pages. Now let's take a look at what those 3 pages might look like. So let me bring up a clean document, and let's just show you what it's going to look like. All right, so here's a clean Word document, and it's going to be a simple matter to get on here what you need to get on. And so the first thing you're going to do is to insert, and come over here to page number. Now we want our page numbers to be at the top of the page. So if you just hover over that, you will see some options fall down for you. You want to slip over to simple plain number 3 and click on that, and there is your little page number. Go up here to the top, click X, and guess what? Your page number's in there. Isn't that easy? I think all of you can do that. This generally then should leave your cursor right here up to the left-hand margin, and it's showing you that it is at the left-hand margin, and everything that we put on our paper on the title page, on this first page, is to be centered. So click on this little icon, and it will center everything for you. And so that's real easy to do. Now, You're going to come down about 4 lines by hitting enter. 1, 2, 3. Maybe 3 is too much. Let's see where we've set our spacing. I think it probably is. It's on, and this is a good thing to do. Let's go back and do this first. Then I'll be able to explain this better. So if you go up here to paragraph, you got yourself to the center. Click on that icon and come down here and you'll see that it says 8, multiple, and some numbers here. We want to change that. Let's change it to 0, double, and you notice how this went away. So we have 0, 0, double, and that's the setting that you need to make on this page. Click OK, and you didn't see anything happen, but it happened in the background. So now if you hit enter twice, that will move it down about 4 spaces. And sure enough, this is where we're going to put our title. So I am making up a title. It's sort of a stupid title. Yours will be excellent, I know. It doesn't matter what the title is, just make something up. This is just something we're doing. We're not going to follow up on this. Then I want to bold that title. So there it is, Dogs Are Wonderful. Now I'm going to come down about 2 double spaces more and put my name. But you notice that the bolding has followed. So we have to take this off by doing the highlighting it and going up here to the Home tab. And right there on that B, you'll see it's highlighted. We want to unhighlight that, and that removes the highlighting. I have used the default Calibri number 11, which is right here. It will default to that in most of your Word programs, and that's okay. It's one of the acceptable fonts. So now I have my name in here. We're going to put College of Nursing and Health Professions. Now, notice a couple of things. First of all, you see a red squiggly line. The red squigglies are your friends. So click in it, just hold your cursor over it and right click it, and you'll see that it's trying to tell you something. It's trying to say, I think you misspelled this word, and the thing they think you should do will usually be at the top. So look at that, and yes, that's correct. If you just click it, they'll automatically fix it. Another thing I need to do, because this is a formal paper, I'm going to capitalize our College of Nursing and Health Professions, which should be capitalized anyway. And then you're going to put the name of the university, which should be easy for you to do. I tab away and I see this same red squiggle. It says to me, uh-oh, you've made a mistake. Go right over that red squiggle, right click into it, and sure enough, there it is. I have capitalized the second letter of that word I didn't want to. Word recognized that and is trying to help me. So I click on the right form, and there's that line. Then you're going to put Hsn310 colon and the name of the course, Scholarly Writing for Healthcare Professions. Now, this will work for any course that you're in. You would just put your course number and what the course is called. Then you're going to place your faculty member's name, so free to faculty. And when is this assignment due? It's due on December 18th, 2020. And I need to put a little space there. So we don't want to put December 18th. We want to use the standard date form, which is December 18, comma, and then the year. So guess what? You have just done your title page. There was nothing particularly difficult about that. All right, let's do page 2. Let's go down to page 2. And if you've done your number correctly on page 1, you see that page 2 is already in place for you. So you're going to just repeat, I can spell here, Dogs Are Wonderful. This is your title. It's going to be replaced at the top of the second page and bolded. So there it is. That's all you need for this assignment. Now, if you were doing a real assignment, of course, you would be starting to write. You would have an introduction, you'd have headings and all the things that go in here. But today we're just doing the basics. So here is your second page. Now let's go down, because we're going to put in a page 3. And it's going to be your reference page, but I want to caution you about something. We can go a little bit further. So we want to put in a page break here, and I'll show you the reason why. At the bottom of page 2, go up to Insert, which is right here, put Page Break, and it will throw you over to page 3. Now you say, well, what happened there? I don't see anything happening. No, you don't, but if you back up to Home and then click this little icon right here, it's going to show you some hidden things going on. When I click on that, guess what? You have placed a page break right here. Wow, all right, I placed a page break, so what? Well, let's go on to page 3 and then I'm going to show you so what. So there is the heading for page 3, and there you have it. Let me show you what might happen if you didn't have the page break there. So let's say that we begin to write, and we're writing and writing and writing. And of course, we're probably going to write more than, you know, 1 page, and pretend that these are nice paragraphs, and you keep writing and keep writing. Wait a minute, I thought references were on page 3. Where did they go? Well, let me show you. References are now at the top of page 4. So what this does is protect the references page no matter how many pages you write. You could write 2 or 3 or 103. Your references will always be at the top of page 4. I think yeah, that's right. The references page is always a standalone page, and it never, ever wants to have anything slobbing over onto it, like the end of your paper, like the conclusion. It never wants to have any of your paper be on this page. This page is reserved alone for reference entries. So the way you can prevent that from happening is simply to have a page break at this bottom page. And so it's actually going to throw it down to the bottom of wherever you're writing. It will move it along, and it protects this reference page. All right, so let's remove our silliness here. Just going to highlight that and take it off. And we're going to come back to our second page. So your assignment should look like this. It should have page 1. The header only has a page number. The title is placed approximately 4 spaces down or 2 double spaced. We're going to make sure that it looks like this on the whole page. Then 2 more spaces down, we have the name, your college, which is correct as you see it, your course number and name, which is correct as you see it. You will place your faculty member's name and the correct date for when this is due. That's page 1. Page 2 will have the title only. That's it. And page 3 will have the heading references only. And that's all there is to it. Simple. All right. I tell you, before we do that, let's just make this smaller and go back and compare it and see if we actually did what we were supposed to do. Let me put this over out of the way a little bit. Now let's go down to the include part and see if we have it included. So do we have a title page that follows APA 7? Yes, we do. And please create the title of your choice. It can be about anything in the whole world. Isn't that fun? And then the page number will be in the top right-hand corner. And we do have that. Then page 2 should have a bolded title. And this should be the page number 2 here. If you've entered it correctly, as I showed you up for page 1, it will automatically give you all of your page numbers. So here's your title again, same title, should look exactly the same. And then page 3, we have a reference page. And note, it's always a standalone, and references, the word references is center and bolded. And there's our page 3. We did not make an abstract, and we are ready now to submit all 3 pages. And so you have just completed assignment number 1 in perfect form. All right, excellent. Now let's take a look at assignment number 2. And before we do that, we'll just go back so that we're ready here to assignment number 2. And we're going to be talking about thesis statements. Now, thesis statements are critical. Imagine turning on a car engine, putting it in drive, and then just turning it loose. That would be ridiculous, right? And to have a paper without a thesis statement is kind of like trying to drive this paper with no driver. The thesis statement is going to help you to know exactly what you're going to write about. So if you've ever stared at that blank sheet of paper and you know that you're supposed to write something there, but you don't know what, this thesis statement is going to provide the purpose of what you're going to do. What is the purpose of your paper? It serves as an outline. Now, we don't mean Roman numeral outlines. We're going to use headings instead. But it does, in a sense, kind of create a skeleton of what you're going to talk about and where you're going to go. Then you begin writing and you put the meat on the bones, and pretty soon you have a beautiful human being that you've created. Of course, that's probably a bad example, but you understand what I'm saying, hopefully. So thesis statements provide the purpose, the content, the why am I bothering to do this. With no thesis statement, your reader and you will be totally confused about what this is all about. So a thesis statement is not hard to create, but it's absolutely essential. And you won't see all the ways that it's helpful until we get a little further down. But let's start this week by understanding that a thesis statement contains 3 parts. First of all, a topic. What's the paper about? Well, that's what I'm going to write about. Sometimes you're allowed to choose what you write about, and sometimes the assignment is going to choose that for you. But in either case, the topic, what am I talking about? Now, it is important that you don't have a topic that's too big to write a 2 to 3 page paper. Most of our papers are maybe, I don't know, a capstone paper might run quite a bit more, maybe 10 to 15 pages. But the normal assignment papers that you'll see in your programs are probably 2 to 3 to 5 pages. So for instance, if you said, well, I think I'll write about the universe. Okay, well, do you think that might be hard to cover that topic in 2 to 3 pages? Yeah, I think it might be. So you have to narrow that topic down and just take a chunk of it, take a piece of it, take one perspective of it, take one interesting part of it, and narrow your topic so that you can actually handle it. The second part is the claim. What am I saying about the topic? What am I asserting? What am I driving home about this narrow topic? Antibiotics are invaluable weapons against disease. All right? Antibiotics might be a division of medication. It might be a narrowed topic, right? I could just say, write about medication. Well, again, how do you do that in 2 to 3 pages? So I've narrowed it down to antibiotics. All right, and it could even be more narrow, but just for a simple example, let's use that. So antibiotics are weapons, successful weapons against disease. Well, that's what I'm claiming. I'm saying that they work against disease. All right, well, then that's what you're going to be talking about. How do they do that? Now, it's important that you have also some evidence. How can I support the truth of what I'm saying? So let's say that you wrote a paper on, let's see, the moon is made of green cheese. Really? Your readers are going to scratch their heads and say, prove that. So while you might have an opinion about something, that you think the moon is made of green cheese, that is not sufficient in scholarly writing. In other words, there's no room for opinion. There's only room for evidence, because we're building academic writing on the foundation of science. And the science would say, no, we've been to the moon, and actually it's not made of green cheese. So your whole paper falls in. No one would count you credible, because you can't just write things that you make up. You actually have to have proof. So if you wrote a paper saying that the moon is made out of gray rock, okay, then you can easily go find evidence. Somebody's written about that. Somebody has a peer-reviewed or a credible site. Then you can say that, because now you have some evidence. So your thesis statements are not really that hard. It's just a matter then of combining those three things: your topic with the claim with the evidence. So let's take a look at a really simple example. So I'm going to choose the topic of dogs. Now, again, that topic is really large for a small paper. I'm going to have to narrow that down. And so I'm going to choose the narrow topic of large breed dogs. That's what I'm really going to talk about. All right, well, that's fine. Now, what am I going to claim? Well, I'm going to claim that they make the best pets. Well, that's fine. That at this point is kind of an opinion. And so I'm going to have to prove that. I need evidence. I have to have support showing that through an expert or a peer resource that is really true. So what am I going to claim? I'm going to claim that they're protective, loyal, and able to do work. And that's why they're the best pets. In other words, take your topic, take your claim, and say, dogs make the best pets because why? Because why? Now you have to think of, in this case, we're going to do 3 reasons why your claim is true. Well, in my case here, because they make the best pets because they're protective, because they're loyal, because they're able to do work. Now, I've said that, and so I can just say that, and it's kind of an opinion, but I have to go out there and find evidence to support this. So I'm going to go look for a journal article that has done a study on a wide number of dog breeds, and they have shown that the large breeds tend to be more protective. Ah, bingo, there's my evidence for that claim. For loyalty, now I have to go find a credible website or a journal article in a peer-reviewed database that shows, yes, a study was done here, and we have noted that large dogs are more loyal than small dogs. And then again, are they able to do work? Yes, so somebody that's credible has written that they're able to do these 3 kinds of work. And so I have then supported my claim. If I don't support my claim, it is what? An opinion. Is an opinion accepted in scholarly writing? No. A small breed dog breeder, for instance, might say, large breed dogs aren't the best pets, small breed dogs are. You can really get into an argument with a reader. Of course, you wouldn't probably see them, but they'd be arguing with you in their mind about how could you say that unless you can support it. So putting these 3 components together creates a thesis statement. And here it is. Large breed dogs make the best pets because they're protective, loyal, and able to do work. Now, at the end of the day, it has to sound like a sentence. You just don't say large breed dogs make the best pets, protective, loyal, able to do work. That isn't a sentence. So you have to take the components and make them a sentence. And in this example, I've used black font to show you that those are words I just inserted to kind of help this whole thing flow together. All right, so let's take an example of what you're going to be doing. I have provided for you a chart, and this is downloadable. We'll look at that momentarily. But this is what you're going to do. You'll be given 3 broad topics, and they're listed in the assignment for you. The first one is opioid crisis. So all you need to do in this first column is simply to place the 3 broad topics that have been provided to you in this first column. So far, so good. Now, figure out how you might want to narrow that topic. So opioid crisis, that's huge. I mean, there's so much going on, so much talk about that. How can I narrow that down? Well, in my choice here, I have said that high school deaths from the opioid crisis. So that's going to be the topic. That's what I'm going to be talking about or focusing on, not just the whole crisis, but how many high schoolers have died. What is it about high school deaths? We're going to talk about, that's going to be my topic. Now I have to claim or say something about that topic, and I'm going to say that they're decreasing, but they're actually, the numbers are going down. All right, well, a reader would say, prove it. Well, all right, here's my proof. High school deaths from the opioid crisis are decreasing because, why? Because number 1, there's more availability of Narcan. Because number 2, there's an increased number of counseling centers. And because number 3, there's improved physician prescribing patterns. So I've just chosen those 3, and that's my reasoning for why I can claim that. Now, take those elements, put them all together with some words to make it make sense, and you have an entire thesis statement, which says, high school deaths from the opioid crisis are decreasing because of more availability of Narcan, the increased number of counseling centers, and improved physician prescribing patterns. There's my thesis statement. It's just about that easy. So you're going to do that 3 times with 3 topics. Now you can't use my opioid crisis one. You got to come up with your own on that one. But please know this, you're not to research these topics. What you're supposed to do is just kind of make up the evidence, if you will. Now, this may be the only time you ever hear anyone say, just go make up the evidence. Just choose some thoughtful and reasonable evidence pieces for your claim. We are not trying to prove this. We're not writing this paper. We are trying to figure out how to put words together and construct a thesis statement. So if you don't have, it may not even be true what I put there. It may be that the increased number of counseling centers, maybe that's not even true. But for what we're doing, it doesn't matter. So don't go out and research. Don't go out and read about your topic. Don't go out and try to write this paper. This is all you're doing is filling in this chart with a reasonable narrowed topic, a reasonable claim, 3 pieces of reasonable evidence that just take it from your own head. These are pretty broad topics. You all know about these things. And then the important part is, how do I put that together to make it make sense? Now, it's important that you color code it. Please color code it in the chart. And the reason for this is because you're going to understand what that final sentence is made up of if you color code it. You should be looking for 1 color from the first, the narrow topic, another color from the claim, and 3 colored pieces there at the end. So you can quickly look and say, do I have it all in there? So I'd appreciate you doing that, because I think it will help you. So you're going to go through and do this 2 more times and create a new document with a title page and a content page. So let's take a look at that. And take a look at this, the directions for this. All right, while you're just reading through there just a minute, I'm going to go over and grab something that we need. So take a look quickly. Okay, I'm here. All right, so you see that we have created a thesis statement kind of in the middle of this paper or section, and we've done it in color, and that's kind of what it should look like. It doesn't have to be those colors, it can be any colors, just make sure that you have it color coded. So here's the chart, and here are the 3 topics. So the topics of opioid crisis, online education, and flu vaccinations should fill right here. These are the 3 that, as they were given to you. Then you're going to narrow each one make a claim for each one, find 3 pieces of evidence for each one, and then create an entire thesis statement by combining that material for each one. So the chart is added here as a downloadable form. So just click on it and then save it to your hard drive. And it looks like this. And then you can use this to work on. So again, fill it out just in the same way. Once you're completed and you have all of these boxes filled in, just come over here to this little kind of little crisscross doofer here. Click on it and you'll see that the whole paragraph is highlighted. Then you can right click and say copy. And then let's pretend for just a minute that we are now on a Word document that you want it to be on. You just paste it in there. So that's how you get it in there, that's simple. But this is your working sheet to work from. All right, so if you have done this correctly, then it's going to look like this. You're going to have a title page with a title. You can choose that. It doesn't have to be this, but make it at least relevant. Again, your same format for your title page. And then page 2, oops. Then page 2, the title goes again. It's bolded at the top. And this time you're going to place your box in here, the one that you filled out, the one that you've just copied and pasted. And note that all boxes are to be filled in appropriately. So they're all to be filled in, and then you will just take that off. You won't say that, that is just for information. We do not need a page 3. We're not going to be doing anything with references, so that's all you need to do. All right, again, read through everything here. I think it will make more sense to you after you've read the entire assignment. All right, and that is our assignment number 2. Now, this first week might feel a little fearful. I think you can see that these aren't hard assignments, but questions certainly should be asked if you're faculty, if you're not sure what to do. So questions are welcome. Have fun with this. It's really kind of fun. These aren't hard, and if you've watched this, you should be able to do a really good job. But if you need guidance, you'll have it in your instructors. And should you really just not get it, then you'll be given the opportunity to have a temporary 2 with a free redo and some guidance from your instructor. So that's it for the week. Not bad. It'll get easier. Hang in there. I know each of you can do this. This isn't hard. Have a wonderful week, and I appreciate your attention and look forward to speaking with you again next week.